Today on Off Topic with Jason and Amanda, we have kind of a sort of awkward interview with my wife where I want to find out exactly,
Unexpected.
yeah, unexpected, but how people evolve through developing sort of um, a political mindset, if you will, or at least an awareness of politics. And also, we discuss how we're pro rice. And welcome to Off Topic with Jason and Amanda. Um, I would say that based on the episode order you're going to receive this, we did not anticipate we would be shooting this weekend.
Yeah.
As you guys might not be aware, we do have decided prior to the baby coming that we needed to start pre-recording our episodes to make sure that there were no oopsies. And we also had some extra episodes in the can so that nobody has to watch any reruns. And so we did this big farewell last weekend, and we were like, hey, we're going to have like 2 weeks off, 3 weeks off. You know? You are way too comfortable.
I'd say that to this one.
No, that's who I'm talking to. I'm not talking to you. You are very uncomfortable. Yes. I've been here the whole time. No, baby, you are way too comfortable. It is time for you to come home now. And we're eager to meet you. So, you know.
Hey.
I'm ready to put you through the paces. We actually ordered the whistles. Well, we told our
headbands.
So we told our doula / also the midwifery. I like thinking of it as like a apothecary. You know, like we got to lead the midwifery and go to the apothecary.
Apothecary?
I thought it was apothecary.
It's an A.
Oh, that doesn't sound as cool.
Call it what you want.
Okay.
You do you.
Apothecary. I was just saying it wrong. I'm trying to back out of it. Thanks for making fun of my lisp. I've had this since I was a child.
Yeah, whatever.
I can't say A sounds without an H.
How do you say my name?
Amanda. This is... What? Saying what wrong? What am I saying?
Oh, my goodness.
So Amanda's been waiting to have a baby for 9 months.
Yeah.
And today's the due date. I keep feeding you spaghetti because that's your
just
trigger.
Mean.
Well, yeah, but it triggers it. And it's not working. Bad way? You mean you vomit? You can say that out loud. Hi, if you've been pregnant, are pregnant, or going to be pregnant, you already know this. You're going to throw up.
Or just like, no, that's
you want to make
true.
that a surprise?
That's not true.
Okay, you may throw up. It's like a roller coaster.
I just meant don't eat spaghetti before any sort of, physical activity. I was going to say labor, but...
Like running up Currahee?
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely don't want to do that.
Or the story that my dad told about
the
fire.
Everybody's got a pasta story. Listen, I don't know. Everybody's like, oh, it's horrible. No, throwing up beef stew is horrible. Okay. Throwing up spaghetti is kind of like basically the same thing on the way up. It's wet noodles.
Gross.
I'm just saying it's actually probably one of the smoother things that you could,
we could just not.
I'm just saying nobody wants to throw up chicken wings. Hot wings?
Why are you like this?
What? We found out our viewership. We're sorry. There's more than 8 of you. And I don't know why you're here.
To hear you talk about vomit.
No, I'm not. Look, these are normal things. It's not our fault that they're airing us in the morning. I'm hoping you're watching this in the evening because that's when you should be. You should be relaxing right now. Relaxing and listening to us talk about vomit. It's just a normal,
so relaxing.
You should say
it in a nice, relaxing voice.
It's time to relax, and you know what that means. Your favorite easy chair and vomit stories. No, it's not. That's not what I want to do. Just lay back there and listen to us tell all the tales that we can. I don't know where to go with that.
Don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So, so we're still here. Time for you to evict. I need to get Get a sheriff. Get a notice. Pin it to the door. Okay, we're changing the locks.
I don't think it works that way.
No, I don't think it does. I think that the baby should take as much time as the baby wants. Your body should take as much time as your body needs. Mostly because it probably knows better than I do.
I would say yes.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. I told you, and we've talked about this, but the whole idea that men at any point have inserted ourselves other than to say things like, interesting. How can I help? Right? Like we would know anything about this. I don't know. I had a doctor's appointment this week. Got a surprise question from a nurse I had never met before. It's very uncomfortable. It's like, what? How dare you, miss?
Shame.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Jason. It's nice to meet you. What's your name? Yeah, I mean, it's just like, so you're not even my nurse, right? Yes, I was just curious. Oh, well, I'm not
So
answering
lady in
that.
the
Yes,
waiting room.
I was like, that probably should have been my first clue, was that I was still in the waiting room when it happened. I was just like, oh, you're not really a nurse. Why would you ask that question? And the answer is 4. No, I don't even. But I was like, what? Yeah. So I don't know anything about it. So I feel like I don't want it, but I think it's different for men.
You've been there for 4 of them.
Yeah, for the babies. No, I meant having doctors that are male or female. Like I'd rather, if I had a choice, I'd rather have a male doctor because I think they would know, but I really don't care. There's only like one procedure in which I might care. And the truth is, the one time I had that procedure, there was like 16 med students there. So, and let's just say the twilight never kicked in. So that's probably what's going to kill me. But that's, not going back there again. But the point is that other than that, I don't think there's ever a right doctor for that. I don't, because there's no doctor who comes in. It's like
Nobody knows what you're talking about.
everybody
Not
knows.
that you should.
Everybody knows what I'm talking about. I'm not saying it so we can just speak in general terms. Don't. You know what I'm talking about,
I'm just going to back up. Yeah, everybody knows.
Let's just say there's a juice regimen that you run the couple days before, okay? The point I'm making is there's no right doctor for that scenario. Because if the doctor is, let's say, a meanie pants, like the one I had, who doesn't wait for the twilight to kick in, and also doesn't ask about whether or not 16 med students can be there.
Yeah.
Fine, Brent. That is no worse or better, in my opinion, than somebody who would be, come up and speak gently to me. Hey there, buddy. Yeah, you stay away. Bring back in Mr. Meanie Pants. Excuse me, Dr. Meanie Pants. And those med students. Except for you. You must leave. So there's so we don't have, for as men, as far as I'm concerned, there's really no difference to me. But I noticed that my doctors tend to stay the same, but my nurses and medical assistants change a lot, so it gets awkward. It doesn't matter. Like my favorite question, are you in any pain? Is it a day ending in Y? Is it an hour ending in o'clock? Yes. But I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, it's like, oh, you don't know me. You're new. That's how it's not that I don't remember people, but there's a lot of people to remember. All of our kids have doctors, blah, blah, blah. So I apologize if I don't always remember the medical assistant that I met a year ago. But when it is somebody new, I'm just like, oh, you're new. You didn't read the file, did you? You didn't read the part where I'm RoboCop, but without the cool superpowers. I'm just a sad RoboCop. Poor sad RoboCop. Yeah, only has a slingshot. I mean, it's like Dennis the Menace,
Oh,
but
goodness.
broken. Anyway, yeah. Yes. So we were listening to music beforehand. We're trying to listen to pump up music because we can't afford licensing for real music before our show. We can afford the licensing for a broken neon sound. Literally, what we had to Google. So, or DuckDuckGo. I never want to talk about Google. They're going to break up Google finally. Did you hear this?
I did not.
Yeah, like Ma Bell. They got the ill communication. They're going to tear it up. Make them spin off some of their stuff. Break up their monopoly.
Why?
I don't know. Just make it look good. I don't know. Maybe they'll make them get rid of OkCupid or something. I'm not sure what their massive conglomeration is. They'll make them get rid of something tiny and then like, oh, wait, Chrome is no longer yours. Ooh. Like they don't have Internet Explorer. Anyway, I
Does
don't even,
anyone still use Internet Explorer?
I don't know. I don't know what I use. So I'm not really one to talk about. And I know Dave's like itching to jump in on this, but I'm not going to let him. So, but I was thinking, but I will let you jump in on this. I was thinking about music because of what pumps me up and what our kids listen to, which is pretty funny. But do you remember your first concert?
Well, now that you've put me on the spot, I cannot think of
We'll
who
go to
it
Dave.
was.
Dave, you remember your first? I know Dave does because it was obviously a huge influence in his life. It obviously had some huge impact on it. You know, I think his first concert was probably Foghat. Is that close, Dave?
Close, but no cigar.
Go ahead.
Actually, oddly enough, my first, and I'm saying real concert, like, not going to see like whatever the equivalent of the Wiggles was when I was a kid, was actually
When you were a kid, it was like a stick and a puppet in the town square. So
somebody
go
with a
ahead.
Grover puppet on a stick.
Right,
yeah.
you're slightly older.
Yeah. It was the Moody Blues. Saw him in '83.
Wow.
Yeah. And then the
I was
next concert
barely
after
alive.
that
Yes.
was Pink Floyd.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Were they old and not good, or were
That
they
was
still good?
'84.
Yeah, there's no reference
That
point
was
for me.
Well, that was the first tour they did without Roger Waters.
Yeah, that also means nothing to me. Okay. That's cool though. I mean, I could see like Pink Floyd. That'd be a cool. I just know because you are obviously very much into music, and so that would mean that the type of music that you were exposed to early must have been something that was influential, a spectacle. That would make sense that Pink Floyd would be up there in your first. That, and after seeing the Renaissance Fair and the stick figure puppets or whatever you saw when you were a kid. What would have been Howdy Doody when you were a kid? I'm not sure how old you are, Dave. But it's Mickey Mouse Club.
I helped name Dirt.
You helped name Dirt. You are older than Dirt. Look up Dirt. How long it takes to become Dirt. We'll find out you're older than Dirt. So what was yours? Do you remember?
First concert I had to like buy tickets to because my dad and I used to go to like free rock concerts in DC and stuff. Was probably you're gonna make fun of me for this one.
No, I won't. I
Yes, you will.
promise. I promise that I
I was
will
in
not
like
make
middle
fun of you.
school, so don't
No,
judge
no,
me.
no. I will not make fun of you.
It was probably Jessica Simpson. And opening for her was Ryan Cabrera, who was dating her sister at the time. Yeah. I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, obviously explains a lot about your musical talent that you have right now. So far, we've been able to see that starting with Pink Floyd ends in being able to play 6 instruments, starting with Jessica Simpson. What instruments do you play? The recorder?
No.
No. So there you go.
I can blow a whistle.
But you do know that chicken of the sea is tuna.
Sure.
Yes. I mean, technically, they're out there with the sea bears, running around, the sea dogs. So we,
Land dolphins.
I didn't, my first concert was a country music concert. I didn't go to a lot of concerts as a kid. It was mostly like backyard jam bands. We moved a lot, so it'd be like military families or whatever, or if
I went to a lot because like when my dad would go to all the biker rallies and stuff, they always have bands and stuff playing. But I don't know. That's
Like-
just always been a thing that my dad and I did.
That's cool. My dad didn't take me to a lot of concerts. Thanks, Dad. He's one of the people watching.
And if my dad didn't take me, his sister did.
That's nice, though. See, I didn't have those kind of. I didn't get to have those kind of experiences. I'm asking for not any real reason. I'm kind of trying to get you. I told you what I wanted to talk about today, and I kind of wanted to put you in that mindset of being younger. Are we really only at 6.5 minutes already? Okay, good. Because I was like, there's no way. Okay. So that threw me off. I was like, what? So the reason I was saying that was I was trying to think in terms of things that influence our lives and vice versa, right? So I think it's that things can have this huge amount of influence on the direction we move in, the types of things we do. I know that your gateway drug of Jessica Simpson led to an addiction to Britney Spears, which we've cured you of. You look back fondly, too fondly, but you've moved on. You don't have like a secret Mandy Moore addiction or anything like that you're harboring. You're
No, but
definitely
I
not
still
a
have a
Swiftie,
Mandy Moore CD.
but you're not a Swiftie.
No, I'm not.
That's what I'm saying. So we cut you off at the right time, right? She sort of cut herself off, all those knives, but you know she is. You got
Don't
stopped
make fun
there.
of her. Give her a
Leave
break.
Britney alone.
Poor woman.
Yeah, but you got cut off. We tapped it, and you were good. Sent you to rehab. Let you listen to some.
You make it sound like I listen to pop music and that's like my thing.
No, but not, it's not that. It's just that we didn't want you to fall down the hellhole that is Taylor Swift, and we were able to do that.
my most how do I want to phrase this? The two bands that I've seen the most in concert would be 311 and Aerosmith. Not together, obviously, that would be weird. But yeah.
Yeah, I've worked more concerts than I've been to. So working in the rigging or working as a roadie, it's just a random thing to throw out there. But yes, I used to be a roadie. I did a tour with, not as a roadie, but working on rigging and all that with Blink and all them. Not a roadie for Blink. They had their own. They were married by then. They were unfun. So I got to see all of them, but I also ended up doing a lot of concerts where I got to see everybody. What's her face? One Winged Bird. You know, just like a one winged bird. It's the woman that sang the song, now singing, ooh, ooh.
One winged bird, that's what you
Yeah.
think it is?
You're thinking of Stevie Nicks.
Stevie Nicks, thank you.
Isn't it white winged dove?
Is it? I thought it was a one winged bird. Like it can't fly. Ooh, ooh, ooh. It has challenges. That makes a lot. Hold up. Now I'm completely confused. I gotta tell you, I was way up in the
Dave,
rigging.
can we get a
so I don't.
confirmation
Yeah,
on
I
that?
need the lyrics to this. Can you put them up there
Maybe
for
it's
me?
a combination of both. Maybe it's one winged dove. It's like
I
combination.
thought it was
of both.
one winged bird. I'm being serious. I'm not even joking.
I'm
I
pretty
don't
sure
really
it's
like
dove.
dig into lyrics. I'm not one of those people that pulls out the album.
No,
and-
you always make up your own lyrics. That's why.
well, yeah.
Because, based on whatever
You see,
theme
most
is
people
going
don't
on in your
know,
noggin.
know that about me, but I walk around the house, and if anything's going on, I'll just put it to worst to a song. Yes.
I think the fun part also is that you were singing the song for Edge of 17, but with different lyrics from a song called Nightbird, which is a song she did.
One winged bird.
No, Nightbird.
What is the other song?
Edge of 17, I think is the
Right.
name
So
of
what's
it.
Edge 17? It's got the guitar where it's over. Yeah. We can't play it. We don't have the authorization from the Stevie Nicks. I mean, she was cool to me. Like genuinely, she came out and said hello and all that stuff, and that was pretty cool. It's like,
That's pretty cool.
yeah, because there's like three of us that had to sit up in the 180 feet above her and rig lighting. Like that wasn't a fun job. You didn't have a safety harness. I'll just say that.
Yeah, it's Edge of 17.
Okay,
And
so,
the opening lyrics are just like the white-winged dove.
What's the next lyric after that?
Sings a song, sounds like she's singing.
Okay.
Ooh,
Ooh,
ooh, ooh.
hold on. So, just like a
She's in
one-winged
a pathway.
bird sings
And
a
I
song
sound
just
exactly
she's
like her when I do
singing.
that.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
You're not
Then
allowed
the
to
next
sing
lyrics?
it.
The next lyrics?
Gosh.
Just like the white-winged dove sings. It does the same
Okay,
thing
got
twice.
it, got it. And then what's the next lyric?
And days go by like a strand in the wind in the web that is
see,
my
that's what I was
own.
saying, like, just like the time goes by getting stranded in the wind. And I thought, oh, because that makes sense. It's a one-winged bird. Right? Like that's okay. Go on to the next.
In the web that is my own, I begin again. Said to my friend, baby, everything stopped. Nothing else mattered.
Yeah, you should one-winged bird. Stop. Nothing else matters. I can't fly. I don't like that. To me, all made sense. Not like a white dove. I don't get why that makes any sense. Why is well, first of all, doves can't talk. So that's weird. I didn't think it was weird that a one-winged bird could talk for some reason, but I am weirded out by the idea of a white dove just sitting around going, hey, ooh, ooh, ooh. I'm like, what are you talking about? Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. Well, so my rememberies aren't all that correct. We'll just say that. But yeah, no, I went to a lot of concerts, but they didn't. So, I when I was stationed down in San Diego, I went to Santa Barbara or San Diego street scene where they kind of close off. And so I got to see a lot of diverse bands. I yelled at Jewel. Like,
Hey.
and then she told me all because she was on stage and I just happened to be because I was at the back end of seeing Offspring. I turned around and I was quite literally stage front for Jewel. And she said, hey, everybody, it's so nice to be back home. And I yelled out, I didn't realize this was Alaska.
Wow.
Yeah. I just didn't realize it would be that loud when I yelled it. So, to be honest, I just didn't expect her to hear me.
Okay, question. When you saw the Offspring, did they do like one of their cool fire displays?
No. They did their show and they...
Because
and
I didn't get to see that from them
They
either.
actually
I was
berated the crowd.
disappointed. Huh.
Yeah, they were playing. It was a weird time. I mean, first of all, it was a great... They had just redone all of Old Town. I don't know what San Diego was like now. So we're talking about 1999, okay? And or the year 2000, okay? So they had... You get a wristband and get to go downtown and whatever, you know? And when you went down there, it would be 10 stages set up, and they had entirely different scenes, and it was very cool. The problem almost became that it became too big because people could buy passes, so it would be, oh, we have 200,000 people are coming, right? But really, if it was a certain time of day, you'd be there, and it might be 10,000 people, and they're there to see Jewel. And then Offspring starts playing in the background. And everyone's like, oh, yeah, okay, I know some of your songs. But the crowd was not into it. And they were like, they just said, straight up walked off. They're like, yeah, you guys suck. Bye. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I watched Dave Grohl do the same thing with the Foo Fighters down at, he started berating the audience. He like went out in the audience, was running around playing. He was like, why are you guys not responding? What's
Wow,
wrong? Yeah,
that's
it's super
funny.
weird. Everybody was sitting down. Is that the Coors Amphitheater down there?
I forget, it was some festival, but I saw the Foo Fighters there, and they came on stage, and they were like, sorry, we're late. We were over at Nine Inch Nails. It was like, I was over there too, and then I left to come here to see you guys. You didn't even come.
That's nice. It's like, oh, thank you for that. I appreciate
it's like
that.
I could have stayed there longer.
Yeah, I think that the worst experience I had was with the band that I'm not gonna say, but I drove them around on my Jeep after they got done, and this drummer was so sweaty that the back of my Jeep stunk for 3 weeks. I was so mad. I was so mad.
Gross.
Yeah, this is so gross. Anyway, you know who you are. Uh,
Don't think he's watching.
I definitely don't think I don't think he's probably, based on his lifestyle, I don't think he's still alive. But yeah, that's a whole nother thing. That's why I'm not mentioning the band.
Yeah.
No, but music for me was an influence in the way that I'm realizing for me it was through film. As you've noted, I tend to put a soundtrack to life. I could probably, if they still made music videos, make a killing. I really enjoy it. I enjoy what music evokes. But I was truly never influenced by, I mean, there was just too much moving, you know what I mean? So I didn't really have a subculture to go with it. I didn't have any group that I ran with because I didn't have any friends for any long period of time. So for me, music, it was just a different thing versus and I'm not making assumptions about you, but I know a lot more about your history, obviously, what you're talking about on air. And I think of what you did for a lot of it was probably thinking about it decided who you were friends with, you know, based on those friends, you guys would develop, you know, sort of similar tastes and other things. It's very funny because you've diverged from them in many other ways. But I'm thinking about sort of how I didn't have, I guess I didn't really have that experience. I had a weird high school, but I think, yeah, I was at a weird time when music that got big was at just the wrong time. I feel like everybody needs a good, powerful senior year, junior year, senior. You know, that summer in between junior year and senior year is really huge. And then the music you listen to in grad. We didn't have that. Mine was 2 years earlier. It's like, No Doubt, Bush, all of them were huge at that time. And they weren't exactly, Just a Girl is not an anthem for us dudes to get, you know, all worked out. I loved the song, loved her, but I was not like, oh yeah, that's my theme. And then the Spice Girls came out and it was just like, and Britney Spears. And I was just like, well, none of this is me. Yeah, I had no problem with it. But then we had the Wallflowers. So it was like, oh, I've got to be mopey now. Dang
we're changing to this.
I thought we did this in the early 90s. I thought we got moved on past this. No, everybody, you know, Tobey Maguire, mopey Spider-Man. Oh, I'm so sad. I have superpowers.
And put my hair in my face.
Yeah, I know. Like, oh, the girl with the crooked teeth doesn't like me. Just sorry. My best friend's a billionaire. Just first world problems, Spider-Man. Anyway, you got bit by a radioactive spider. But no, we didn't. I didn't have that kind of. But you think about things that influence you when you're young. And so, again, this is a very long segue into this. But we're in an election cycle right now, obviously.
We are?
We are.
Crazy. I haven't heard anything about that.
Yeah, there's everything. It's just all over the place. So I don't want to even... But what I do want to talk about was... So they're astroturfing the Kamala campaign. I don't know how to say her name. Somebody brought it up. She's said her own name 3 different ways. So it's weird that she used to be Kamala or Kamala, and now she's Kamala. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, I don't know. The chameleon is running this campaign, and there's been these accusations that are pretty credible that she's paying people. What were the one you were just telling me about? Was Dave telling me they're paying actors?
Yeah, they're hiring actors for DNC fundraisers and functions.
Propagandists?
Yeah.
To come out there and just be like, hey, I think I saw that, the free airfare and hotel, and we'll pay you.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they've been caught a couple of times already at different venues.
Like they're paying influencers, which is really funny because I've reached out to the Trump campaign multiple times through multiple channels and said, hey, what can I do? Is there anything I can do to help other than give you more money? And the answer is no, we're good. So I am a little bit annoyed by that because I feel like other people are paying people, and I'm like, hey, what can I do to help for free?
Yeah.
Because I don't want my country to become a communist hellhole. So what can I do? And the answer is, you know, that they're paying the DNC and they've got this astroturfing thing going on. But I genuinely have a fear that they're going to get the Taylor Swift. Like, not just that she's going to, which is going to be weird because I wonder how a donation in kind works when Taylor Swift shows up to your rally and gives a concert. That's the person who just did $1 billion world tour. Is that $1 billion gift in kind if she just started touring with him?
I have no idea.
So that's going to influence a lot of women, but I don't really think that women who live, like if you're taking your political advice from someone who wrote 90% of her songs about how she makes bad choices, you kind of got what's coming to you.
Not bad choices in life, bad choices in men.
I'd say that's the same thing. I would say that if I'm making...
No, I know, but last time she endorsed Biden.
Oh, yeah,
So-
that's gross. Please stop sniffing me. I'll endorse you. What kind of shampoo you use?
Gross.
It's fact, Jack. But I you know, I was trying to think, what were politics like to you? It's more of a laid back conversation. I'm not, this is not really, I'm not here to get all hyper political, but I just was thinking, we were kids once. We're going to have to convince our children of that we were teenagers at one point. But you think back to it, and I try to think, well, when was the first time I was politically active? And to me, it wasn't a campaign. It was the Persian Gulf War, and we all got mad because we couldn't put American flags on our lockers. And we had a sit-in during study hall
Nice.
in the hallway, organized by some girl who's probably a Democrat activist right now. Went bad. I could probably tell. It's New York. But I remember that. And that was the first political thing that I did. I also remember going to a pro-life rally. Also a pro-rice rally. It's a food hunger thing. So, yeah. Send more rice.
Oh,
Yeah, there's no anti-rice caucus. So
no, it's not anti-rice. It's big corn.
yeah, it was yeah. The pro-corn people,
Yeah, pro corn and pro rice.
pro-corn and pro-rice, yeah. So wrong. Suck it to me. But I'm just thinking that's about, just trying to get out of the fact that I almost said pro-rife. Yeah, that was it.
Ow.
So she said to make you laugh. That was
I
one
know.
of my
I know.
assignments.
That one hurt though.
Sorry. I'll stop being funny. But when did you start kind of, politics? I mean, beyond I need to vote. Everybody needs to vote. Like, that's the thing that's sort of, the rock the vote. I've been told since I was a kid, yeah, you need to vote. For who? I mean, that was never a question. It was always just like, okay, I mean, I kind of took it seriously because, I went in the Marine Corps. I was like, well, if I'm going to be out here fighting for this, I might as well take it seriously and read things like ballot measures. And then I was like, why am I doing this? But I took voting seriously. I do take voting seriously. But I don't think that there was a point where I'm trying to think back, and I'm interested in when was politics exists? Is there like a president, member of?
I mean, that's hard to say because I grew up outside of DC. So it's like anytime you go into the city, it's like, oh, politics. I'm surrounded by it.
Do you think about it in the terms of politics, or did you just think in terms of government? Because I can remember when we used to get newspapers as a kid, they'd have Donald Trump at them based on his real estate dealings.
Right.
So did you just see a lot of press coverage? Because I know your dad probably got the Washington Compost.
No comment. I don't know.
Maybe I need to rephrase that. I guess what I'm asking is, there's a point in everybody's life where it moves from being an abstract thought into, sort of metastasizing into this, I'm supposed to care about issues, right? And I think for some of us, it's simple. I went to a Christian high school, so pro-life was pretty much my first thing, right? And I wasn't given a lot of leeway on it, but it didn't require much thought after the fact. I was like, well, I'm not a close the door behind me kind of guy. So seeing as I was allowed to live, I think we should have let everyone else do the same. But that was a very immature way of looking at it, but it really isn't more complex than that, really, when you think about it. That was like sort of my first political thing, was that. Like I said, activist wise, it was a Persian Gulf, PG-1. But I think I first recognized politics when Clinton ran for office and there was some genuine anger amongst people about Ross Perot running. And I remember being cognizant of that. Like I was too young I was 12, 13, somewhere around that. And I just remember people being mad that they felt that Bush, who had just run a war and did all this stuff, but because of one tax that he put out there, all of a sudden Ross Perot, and then we end up with Bill Clinton. And I remember that. And that was me just understanding, oh, it's a game.
Mm.
I guess that's what I'm getting at. Was there different points in your life where you sort of different things metastasized and you were just like
I mean, yeah, I guess. I mean, like I said, it was always just kind of a thing that was around, but I didn't pay attention to. But I guess a big turning point, like internally, like realizing, how things impact other things would have been 9/11.
Interesting. Oh, you mean like in terms of foreign policy and...
Yeah, just like, I mean, I was young, but like realizing that how things kind of fit together and decisions people make,
Yeah, that makes
have
sense.
potentially huge impacts on.
Yeah, huge consequences
Yeah.
and outcomes. So you moved... Okay, so at that point and I know how old you were, 5th grade. So you have... Which makes sense. That's about the same time PG-1 for me. So, yeah, we had basically same concept. Yeah. There's larger world policy.
Right.
Oh, when we talk about the United States being a country, this is what that means. Oh, there's like things like, other people are sometimes, it's not just history books.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, that was I could see that. That's about the right age for a connect the dot moment where you're like, oh, the world, things are happening. And we didn't have, 9/11.
And it's not just something you hear about far off in the distance,
Right. Well, for you especially.
It was
right there.
that hit home.
Yeah. So you had, and for me, I was out at out in El Paso when I was watching the tanks being moved, for Persian Gulf War. And it was the first televised war, CNN real time watching, where we're getting daily briefings from think about that concept. You're getting daily live briefings about your target lists from the head of the forces, Storm and Norman. And out there giving the reporters who are all wearing helmets and riding in front line. That's such a weird concept, especially when you think about the fact that you have nobody in Ukraine, right? Nobody's embedded over there. I haven't seen it. Now, I'm not avoiding it, but at the same time, you don't see a lot of things from that in the same way.
Right.
So, yeah, for me, that was kind of the same thing, I guess. Not as very different than 9/11. Ironically, what caused 9/11. So that's a full circle. So what was the next sort of step from that? So you go from, now I get that foreign policy has an impact. The people that have been arguing in Washington, D.C. that I know about, things they say have, consequences. Things they do cause, impacts in my life and my family's life. So what's the next step after that? Where is it recognizing a specific candidate? Was there a person that was a political figure that came up and you went, where you sort of go, that's a turning point. Now I actually understand a person and that they have individual policies. Trying to think correctly on the timeline. Would that have been Obama? or Bush. No, yeah, it would have been end of Bush. So it would either have been John Kerry and Bush, or it would have been, because I don't think you guys have any. I'm trying to think of where you grew up. You didn't have any governors races that were
Oh no,
all
I
that
didn't pay
impactful.
attention to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, was it as late as high school that you kind of start thinking? Because for me, it was Dole Clinton, and even I knew Dole was being sent out to slaughter for that, which is a horrible way to phrase that. But I mean, like, this guy had a venerated career. You know, was a disabled World War II vet, and then he goes in and they push him up against Clinton, knowing that Perot's going to run again. Perot sucks off enough of the votes, and Clinton wins. And his first term was full of scandal. That was the other thing I was aware of.
Yeah.
The scandals in the Clinton administration were something I was very aware of.
Yeah. I mean, I was young, but yes, I was
Aware of that?
Yeah.
Wow. That's even before I would have been. Because I don't remember, like, Iran-Contra, which would have been about the same age. You know, meaning specifically for us.
Right.
I don't remember hearing about, I mean, Berlin Wall, but that's, again, not political. That's a world event. But I think that for me, the first active step in politics was when I left the Marine Corps active duty, and I went and volunteered to work a guy's congressional campaign. And he was an outsider running against a 10-term incumbent, that kind of thing. So it was a lot of door to door and all of that stuff. And I remember not doing it because I actually liked the candidate, or he was nothing wrong with him. He was a nice family man, all that stuff. He was young. I did it because I didn't disagree with any of his policies, and he made me not him. I spent like 1 minute with him, but the campaign, being a part of the campaign, made me feel part of a team. And having just left the Marine Corps, that was a big deal for me.
Right.
Like active duty, because you don't no longer have those people every day. So all of a sudden, having a place to be outside of work, and have people count on you, and have a mission that seemed unachievable, turns out it was. But that was my first step in foray into being actively involved. I mean, did you have any campaigns or anything you ended up working? You don't have to say who if it's like...
No.
So you never had that big step. Of course, your time frame is a little bit different, because within a couple years of that same time I had that, I was running, we were getting married and having kids and being transferred all over the place.
Yeah.
So it's not really the same. But when do you think it was, as a student, or when you had a family, that all of a sudden politics in general started to matter more to you?
A little bit in high school, more so in college. But definitely like a huge jump when we got married and had kids, and all of that, and all of a sudden we had little people to depend on us. And
so, like, in high school, was it, you had issues with import, export, taxation?
No, that was more like my conservation, whatever kind of interest. Like, I was the annoying kid who's like, oh, you're letting balloons go in the sky that could kill a dolphin, and then, I remember when I was a kid, I used to get those, like, every month you'd get a different animal thing in the mail, and like we got one on dolphins once, and it said, whatever percent it was, but how many dolphins would die, or like animals in general would get the like the when you get a bottled soda, the little plastic that holds them, like they get it stuck on their head or their face or whatever. So ever since, you've seen me do it, obviously.
Of course, but I do it.
I always cut them apart.
Yeah.
Because that's like just been a habit of mine since I was
Right. Even though we
however
don't
old
dump,
I was.
even though we don't dump trash in the ocean anymore.
Right, but
Right.
it's just like
I'm just curious
That's
where
the-
they get those stats from. I always
I
love
don't
that
know.
when they're like 14% of all
they
dolphin
interviewed the
deaths.
dolphins.
That's what I'm saying. Like, did they go down to the dolphin census?
Probably. I
You
mean,
know?
they're the puppies of the ocean, right?
Yeah. Were they just like, what's the name of the sea guy? What's the name of the guy?
Jacques
Poseidon,
Cousteau.
No, the guy that rules the ocean. Or-
Neptune, Poseidon. I don't know.
no, the
which-
guy from DC.
Oh, Aquaman.
Aquaman. Yeah, did they have to like go to Aquaman and get the census
You went
reports?
with Aquaman.
I first of all don't believe in false gods, so I would rather believe in a fake half man,
It's called
half fish.
mythology.
I
Okay.
understand that, but I'm not going to go look for it because what if it was real? Could you imagine how scary a King Triton would be, like in real life? Like, oh crap! All I have are these little fins in an oxygen bottle, and you have that giant thing. Just saying. Also, we can whip up a hurricane. None of that is good.
And a Sharknado.
And a Sharknado. Or a Sea Bearnado. However you want to look at it. No, none of that sounds good. Whirling teeth of death does not sound, that sounds like a kung fu move, but it also does not sound like something that I want to enjoy myself. So no, I'm not going to go with that. Okay, so that makes sense. So conservationism is obviously one of the many things that I think kids get into. And I find, by the way, I think we should be conservationists. Not an environmentalist. That's idiotic. But yes, that makes sense. So, and especially as you drove towards being a photographer and an under ocean photographer, I can see how that influenced you.
Yeah.
That's what I was getting at here in this whole conversation that took 45 minutes to get to, I think, was this idea of how I think that these things shape us. And the reason why I'm asking this is because I'm trying to understand why anyone would vote for Kamala. And
To learn how to pronounce her name.
I can understand going to see a video to get that. Hi, I'm whatever her name is, Harris. And then you go, oh, now I know. Wait, there's a different video. What does that say? She says it differently. But no, I mean, I could say the same thing about President Trump. Right? I mean, like, what drives somebody to, I can understand because, whatever. But young people, we're not young anymore.
No, we're not.
I wish we were, but we're not. I say as my cybernetic leg hurts. Zzz, zzz, zzz. There's creaking noises. I can feel them internally. You guys can't hear them, I don't think. But like a screen door in a storm. So
Does it slam shut too?
yeah. So, but you go from conservationism to, you said you got more active in college. So what was, and again, I'm not trying to push you to share stuff and no one's going to mock you for it. What was the thing, like the issues that you started to see? Was it taxation? Was it homelessness? Seeing that government systems were failing, and you're going, wait a minute, you guys said this was an issue and we give you lots of money and it doesn't work. Maybe you suck at this.
I mean, a combination of things, I guess. Like, I was never a social justice person, like, most people do in college. But, being by the ocean and obviously studying underwater photography kind of continued the ocean conservation interest.
Would you say that's political, though? At that point? Because when you said you get more political, do you mean you just got more actively involved in ocean conservationism in college?
I mean, maybe. I don't know. I think that's a little political.
No, it can be. I'm sorry. Again, I'm not trying to put you on the spot and make you frame things in a way so that it puts you in a box. I'm just genuinely asking, like at that point, because to me that could.
Are you interviewing me right now? Like, this is.
No, I'm talking about it with you.
It's just weird.
It's called You're Super Pregnant, and I don't want to make you have to be too creative, so I'll make all the jokes. Okay, you just sit there and try not to pee yourself,
Thanks.
and then
Yeah, well, I drank most of this before you ever sat down, so.
I saw that. I'm like, that's floating in there with the baby. Not really sure how the human body works. I'm assuming
It's
that's
not
just
that.
floating in there with the baby. She's all
No.
like, it's iced tea. But it's like raspberry something. So,
Raspberry leaf
right. So I'm
and
just
coconut water.
saying that you and I, when I look at I can understand why we have very similar policy mindsets, right? Obviously, much of that is cultivated by our experiences together. For example, how we feel about earned income tax credits for children, how we feel about education spending, how we feel about starting wars. Lots of those things have been impacted by choices and things that have been made sense in our life, right? Like I was in the military. You did not want another war. So you
Yep.
were happy that Trump didn't have any wars. Yay.
Yay.
So we move on. But there's a point where you all of a sudden move from policy and then, obviously the Democrats have tried to glom on and constantly claim that they're the only conservationists, right? Which is absolutely not true. But there has to come a point where you're maybe running in those circles, dabbling in a little liberalism. And all of a sudden,
Well, being in California too
Right.
made me see how I was like, oh, this is different.
like what?
Um,
You mean like versus an East Coast liberal being a West Coast liberal?
yes, at the time at least. Now I think they're fairly even.
I feel like 20 years ago, East Coast liberal was more, what word I want to use that? Ivy League or union worker.
Right, right.
One or the other. It was just a split dichotomy. It's all like, oh, I'm a Democrat. Or, yeah, for the, local 42 or whatever.
Yeah.
But then out on the West Coast, they're like, oh no, we like to experiment with human. Like, let's see how we socially destroy everything.
Yeah. I mean, definitely seeing the homeless situation out there, even it's worse now, obviously, but
Way worse.
Yeah,
I've got
I mean,
friends who tell me.
it was bad while we were there. And I mean, that kind of shifted my opinions as well. But
Like what? Like, you mean as in people would you
like paying attention to different things that I normally wouldn't pay attention to,
so
policies and
so you sit
whatever,
here and
and
you go
seeing like, oh, well, that failed and caused this.
I always loved how they would go, we're going to create affordable housing. They would spend $40 million to build an apartment building or something. And then it would be junk.
Yeah.
And then they would put people in there and they'd be transients and things like that. And I'm going, you realize you could have bought 1,000 acres in the Inland Valley and built you don't
And
need,
instead, you did it right on the water.
yeah.
Like,
And you think that's going to solve your... Hold on. You just told the rest of America's homeless that if you come to Santa Barbara, we're going to build you an oceanfront apartment.
yeah.
And that's going to solve your homeless problem.
Well, and like just going for a walk downtown and seeing everything.
So your thought was kind of like, hey, they got these people out here. They're super liberal. They keep telling me this is a problem that they can solve
Seeing people doing inappropriate things in public.
and not be arrested, not
Yeah.
be charged.
Just like, oh, wow, I'm trying to walk to class, and
How many times did you have somebody threaten you or follow you or act weird?
a lot.
Yeah. Even I did.
Yeah.
Although I remember that one time they did that to that one couple and I went over and ended that very quickly. Yeah, it's because it's not homeless in the cliche depression era
Right.
hobo. It's mentally ill people. It's people with drug addiction, alcohol addiction problems, people who are a danger to themselves and others. And we're just sort of supposed to ignore it
Right.
and focus on the empathy and focus on the sympathy.
I always felt bad for, like, there were always people out there with their dogs. I'm like, really? You're putting your dog through this?
Well, I think the dog thing is it's a companion and safety
Yeah,
for
yeah.
some people. But in general, Santa Barbara had a huge problem
I'm
with
talking more
campers.
specifically. I was talking about like the group of, I know who
Yeah.
you know, the group of teenagers that would all.
Oh yeah. But I mean, we were out there and we would see people cosplay as homeless.
Yeah.
You know, that would be out there begging for food outside of a burger joint, and then their parents would show up in a BMW and
Yep.
Jonathan, get in the car.
Yep.
And you just go.
That's who I was referring to.
Yeah, no, I mean, but that's again, that's cosplaying. And
Yeah.
those are people who made a druggy friend and want to be cool, but they're still going to head off to Loyola Marymount or wherever, you know, depending on the family, Yale, whatever.
Yeah.
And they're going to go off, and the rest of those people are still going to be there. But I could see how those policies, those things would do it. And I apologize. I wasn't meaning to interview you in this conversation. I think that I just am genuinely interested, and I think other people might be, because, and to frame it, we never really got to get into it because we're called off topic for a reason, was just, I wanted to sort of frame, why do people can get behind a hype train without ever looking at actual policy. Like, I understand in a lot of ways why people got behind Obama. I get it. Okay. And McCain was not the right choice. Right. But you ended up with a lot of people who were coming out of, and they had no idea what they were going to get. And they got the complete opposite of what they thought they were going to get. We got probably one of the most divisive presidents in history.
But he was good at giving a speech.
Yeah, he was. But now we sit here and you're thinking, what are these, and how, but the reason why it's so important is, how can we get them interested and mobilize them to make sure they vote and vote correctly so that we don't end up in a communist hellhole? Yeah. So there's that. But we didn't get to that part, so we don't have a solution. So any guesses? I'll throw one out there. It's not TikTok videos.
What?
Yeah, maybe tell them that they're going to be going to the front lines of Ukraine. Maybe that
I
might
don't think that'll
show
really
them
hit people until it's a reality.
show them the TikTok video of the guy they're going to be in a fighting hole with.
Again,
Yeah.
I think it's all a blur, and it's not gonna, until it's there in their face. It's nothing.
Oh. Oh, we'll solve this tomorrow. This is a weird abrupt ending to the show. And the show is over.